Hey, Terri's top picks. Better late than never. Some great summer reads, everybody. Stay tuned. Keep reading. Hi, everyone. Terri Gillespie here, and welcome to this month's top picks. And there's going to be some great summer reads in here. And in fact, I think I'm going to do 2 episodes. Okay, let's get started. Okay, my lead book is Just for the Summer by Melody Carlson. Doesn't that look great? I love the colors on this book cover. So Melody is going to be my featured author for July, and I'll be interviewing her, and we're going to learn a little bit more about this book and about Melody. So in the meantime, here's her bio. Melody Carlson is an award-winning author of more than 250 books, with sales of more than 7.5 million, including many best-selling Christmas novellas, young adult titles, and contemporary romances. She received a Romantic Times Career Achievement Award. Her novel, All Summer Long, has been made into a Hallmark movie, and the movie based upon her novel, The Happy Camper, I love that book, premiered on Up TV in 2023. I'll have to look up TV. Not familiar with that one. She and her husband live in Central Oregon, and I happen to know they like to camp. So more about that later. Okay, so this is published by Revell, and it came out in March. And it is now in library binding, which I had to look up what the difference between hardback and library binding is. And apparently library binding is even more rugged and durable than hardcovers. So it's kind of cool. You go into a library, those are specially bound books. And it's in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. So this is contemporary romance, in case you couldn't tell. And here's a little bit about the story. If you lived in a different place and had a different job, couldn't you have a different life? Ginny Masters manages a popular boutique hotel in Seattle and manages it with aplomb. But the daily challenges and irritations of a fast-paced job and a demanding boss are starting to get to her. Jacqueline Potter manages her grandfather's fishing lodge in Idaho because it was the only job she could find after graduating with her hospitality degree. She's grateful for the work, but longs for a more sophisticated and cosmopolitan life. She's just not going to find it in this backwoods town. The solution to both their problems seems obvious. Just for the summer, they'll swap jobs and lifestyles. Don't you love it? And even love interests. But they'll soon find that there's more to finding happiness than just switching up the scenery. Okay, it seems like a light romp, but it really has some powerful inspirational takeaways. Okay, so we're going to read the first paragraph. Chapter 1, Hotel Jackson, Seattle. Ginny Masters rarely blew her temper. Today could prove the exception. She silently counted to 10 while studying her boss's frosty expression. Diana Jackson, owner of Hotel Jackson, Seattle, had to be one of the most difficult people on the planet. And working in the high end of the hospitality industry, where most guests at their boutique hotel acted overly entitled, Ginny had met more than her fair share of thorny people. Ah, that's setting it up, isn't it? Gonna love this book. And beach reads, technically beach reads are books that you can finish in one setting. And so that would seem to exclude series. However, when the series are good standalone books, you can still read parts of the series, which I'm bringing up right now because the next book we're going to talk about is The Sisters of Corinth by Angela Hunt. And Angie is my mentor, my writing mentor. And she is probably one of the most brilliant people that I know. And I call her the Meryl Streep of the author world. She's just so versatile. She just like molds into any genre that she wants to write. She's amazing. So this is the second book in the Emissary series. And an emissary is just another way to kind of say missionary, except it's a more elevated description than a missionary. This is book 2, and essentially what we're doing is we're looking at the life and times of brand new believers who are not Jewish, because the believers after Yeshua or Jesus ascended into heaven, most of them were Jewish. I mean, like 98% of them were Jewish. So they're going out into the pagan worlds, and people are accepting Yeshua, and they have to live the life of a follower of Jesus in a pagan world. So if you don't know Angela Hunt, I would be surprised. But if you don't know Angela Hunt, here's her bio. Angela Hunt is a New York Times best-selling author of more than 160 books, with nearly 6 million copies sold worldwide. Angela's novels have won or been nominated for Rita Awards, the Christie Award, the ECPA Christian Book Award, and the Holt Medallion. 4 of her novels have received Forward Magazine's Book of the Year Award, and Angela is a recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Romantic Times Book Club and ACFW. ACFW is the American Christian Fiction Writers. Angela holds a doctorate in biblical studies and theology. She and her husband make their home in Florida with mastiffs and chickens. Okay, this is published by Bethany House, and it's in library binding, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And this genre is biblical fiction. I guess you kind of guessed that. Okay, here is the summary. Chief Magistrate Narcus Legus sees an opportunity to rise in power by marrying his stepdaughter to the new governor's son. Yet Mariana's faith in Yeshua makes her as reluctant to wed a man who worships Roman gods as her jealous half-sister, status-obsessed Prima is determined to wed him. So I've got a little competition and conflict even in the household. Okay. All right. All right. First chapter. First paragraph. Chapter 1. This is in Mariana's point of view. AD 60. When Salama stepped into my bedchamber, her face twisted with distress. I dropped the scroll I had been reading. Domina, my handmaid stuttered. I know you want to read without interruption, but your mother commanded me to fetch you. Irritation wrestled with curiosity as I picked up the scroll and furled it. Do you know why? You know what's great about books, especially Angie's books, they really, even though they might be set in a historical time period, biblical or historical, um, there's always a message, a takeaway message that's relevant for us today. And that's a sign of a really good book. Oh, 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 oh. I'm so excited about this new series. And this is worth sitting under an awning or a umbrella, whatever, and reading this book, even though it's the first book in the Speranza series, and it's called The Crown Conspiracy by Connie Mann. And I'm so excited about this series. Now, this was published by Tyndale, and it came out in June, and it comes out in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Now, Speranza is actually, the Speranza team is actually Spanish for hope. So I don't want to give away too much. It's so good. If you like Ocean's 8 with Sandra Bullock and I can't remember who else is in it. If you like that, where you had a bunch of women getting together with all these talents and skills and creating this great feat, you are going to love this because it focuses on good things. So anywho, okay. So if you're not familiar with Connie Mann loves taking readers on heart-pounding, suspense-filled adventures featuring strong, determined women who fight for what they believe and for those they love. She is the author of The Crown Conspiracy, which is the Florida Wildlife Warrior series and Safe Harbor series, and several standalone titles. She is also United States Coast Guard licensed boat captain, so we have to call her Captain Connie, and gets to introduce Florida visitors to dolphins and manatees, which is as much fun as it sounds. Doesn't that sound great? Okay, so here's a little bit. This is contemporary fiction, contemporary suspense, contemporary what else? It just says fiction on here, but it's suspense, thriller, mystery. She's a master at spotting a forgery and knowing how to create one. But can she solve a decades-old mystery? The media spotlight is the last place art thief and forger Sophie Williams needs. But when one of 3 long-missing royal portraits turns up in Germany at her best friend's art gallery, the spotlight is exactly what she gets. Since the tragic deaths of Princess Johanna of Neuhausburg, which is a fictional country, and her 2 children 40 years ago, the whereabouts of these portraits have been unknown, and the timing of their reappearance just days before a new prince coronation reignites questions surrounding the infamous accident. Then Sophie's best friend vanishes, and a rumor about hidden treasure connected to the painting surfaces, seemingly confirmed by a cryptic message on the back of the first canvas. Don't you love that? Where there are cryptic messages that you can find in the back or tucked in within the painting. Convinced that finding the other 2 portraits would lead to her friends, Sophie begins a twisty investigation that pits her against other ruthless treasure hunters, a handsome investigator who seems to dog her trail at every turn, and a mysterious group that offers help wearing an emblem exactly to one in the painting. From Germany's grand castles and soaring cathedrals through the Alps and to the canals of Venice, Sophie must choose her allies carefully if she hopes to find the portraits, rescue her friend, and perhaps save a throne before time runs out. All right. Okay. Now this gives a little background about the Speranza team. This is the prologue. And even though this is set in contemporary times, the prologue is going to give us a little backstory. Along the western coast of Italy, 1750. She ran down the quiet streets, her fine leather slippers making no sound on the worn cobblestones. She skidded past another alley and risked a quick look over her shoulder. At this time of night, most everyone in the coastal village would be safely tucked into their beds. No footfalls fell behind her, but the unmistakable certainty she was being followed forced her to make haste. Her breath rasped in the frosty air as she hurried on, feeling time tick away with every heartbeat. The darkness of the new moon helped to hide her, but it also meant she was out of time. 1750. All right. Next book. Oh, Jocelyn. This is also part of the series, but it is easily is a standalone. But you're probably going to want to read the first book. This is book 2 in the Central Park series. And this is called The Hudson Collection by Jocelyn Green. And this is historical fiction, and I would say mystery and suspense as well. So this book is published by Bethany House, and it came out in June, at the beginning of June. And it's in library binding, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Okay, so here's a little bit about Jocelyn Green, the author. Jocelyn inspires faith and courage as the best-selling author of numerous fiction and nonfiction books, including the Christie Award-winning The Mark of the King and Drawn by the Current, and on the Central Park series. That's pretty short. She's very, very gifted. Okay. All right, here's a summary. An ornithologist at Manhattan's American Museum of Natural History, Elsa Reisner, is tasked with cataloging a country Gothic estate. Once there, she bonds with the house's other occupants, including an intriguing carpenter from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and is swept up in a treasure hunt for a priceless heirloom. This was so good. And the character development, the character Elsa is fascinating, just fascinating. All right. And it really gets into real issues that happened during that time period, and I would say most likely contemporary time as well, which is eugenics. Yeah, didn't just happen in Germany, folks. Okay, chapter 1, New York City, Monday, August 23rd, 1926. Sorry, Elsa whispered, though she knew full well the bird splayed on its back on the metal table was past feeling any pain. She pushed her glasses up the bridge of her nose, then reached for the scalpel. Having already stuffed the bird's throat with cotton, she separated the feathers down the midline of the breast. Here we go. I mean, that's pretty brave to start out with doing taxidermy on a sweet little bird. It's so good. Get past it. Just get past it because it's so good. And the respect that she has for birds is really going to be evident. as you go through the story. All right. Susie May Warren. All right, this is book 2. Yeah, book 2 of Alaska Air 1 Rescue. Now, the thing about Susie's books, Susan May Warren's books, One Last Chance, the thing about that is all of her books are technically connected in some way or another. So it's a strong story that's a good standalone. But you're going to want to read other stuff. But you can sit down on that towel and with your little sweet tea, glass of sweet tea, and really enjoy this story. This is contemporary romance published by Revell in library binding, paperback, and ebook. So, if you're not familiar with Susan May Warren, you should be. She's amazing. Okay, here's a little bit about Susie. Susie is the USA Today best-selling author of more than 90 novels with more than 1.5 million books sold, including the Global Search and Rescue and Montana Rescue series, winner of a Rita Award and multiple Christie and Carroll Awards, as well as the Holt Medallion and numerous Reader's Choice Awards. Susan makes her home in Minnesota. All right, here's a little bit about this book. As an Air One rescue swimmer, Axel Mulligan will do anything to save lives, including sacrificing his own. When wildlife researcher Flynn Turnquist enters his life, he falls hard and fast, but is she really who he thinks she is? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I like that summary. Sorry, Revell. It's so much more. There's just so much more to that. Maybe this is an advanced reader's copy, so it probably isn't the full back cover synopsis that you would normally see. All right, let's go to chapter 1. He was tired of the river winning. Axel Mulligan crouched on the bank, the cold seeping into his bones despite the dry suit, shivered and tried to read the foamy, lethal water. His entire body shook, his hands scraped and a little bloody, and he shut out the sound of a man keening behind him. Grief, horror, regret, guilt, maybe. Okay. One of the really cool things about Susan May Warren is she literally throws you in the deep end of action. I mean, you are drawn in with just incredible action and suspense and adventure. So you'll like this. All right. Okay. So debut novelist. I like to try to have at least one debut novelist. And this is Jenny Erlingsson, Her Part to Play. And this is contemporary romance, and it's published by Revell in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And it is contemporary romance, and it's set in Alabama. And that's not far from where I live in Georgia. So, but Jenny doesn't live there anymore. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Jenny Erlingsson is an author and speaker of Nigerian descent. After 12 years working in junior high and women's ministry, she moved with her family from Alabama to Iceland. When she's not running after 4 kids or ministering alongside her husband, She can be found writing romantic fiction and creative nonfiction to inspire deep faith in diverse settings, as well as encouraging other writers. Her other writings have been featured in Encourage, Live Original, Velvet Ashes, and more. And in the margins, you might find her reading 5 books at a time with a side of Icelandic chocolate. How cool. I mean, what a difference between Alabama and Iceland. I think I'd like to live in Iceland. Give me a really good coat. I think I would like to live in Iceland. Okay, here's a little bit about this book. Desperate for extra income, a Dane accepts a last-minute job as a makeup artist for a movie that's filming in her small Alabama hometown. But the money hardly seems worth having in order to face the actor who got her fired from her last job in Hollywood. Sparks fly on and off the set, but will either of them follow the pull of their hearts? Definitely romance. All right, chapter 1. I think I'll read 2 paragraphs. Sleep didn't come easily to the broken-hearted. What a great line. Which was ridiculous, since said heartbreak was too long ago to count and had been a long time coming, according to John's mom. Buzzing took over the silent presidential suite for what felt like the 100th time. John groaned, wondering why he even bothered to set the alarm. He swatted at the appliance, hoping he managed to hit the off button before it joined the chorus of his invisible phone. So I bet there's at least one, maybe more, maybe all of them that you'll be interested in reading. Now, down below in the description section, I will have the links of where to purchase the book. And one of the things that I've discovered over the years is if you go to the publisher's website, they will have links to all sorts of different retail outlets, both online and brick and mortar. So it makes it just kind of convenient that you don't have to go searching around for it. So I'll have that. I'll have any other information I might have, like I interviewed Susan May Warren, I interviewed Angela Hunt, so I'll have links to their interviews as well. So yeah, so that's it for this month. Actually, it's not. I'm going to do another episode this month because, I mean, you need lots of books to read this summer. So in the meantime, God bless and keep reading.